Let us start with Module 1, Design Process. So here we see topics like design and why do we need a design. So there are different needs of humans. It can be individual needs like shelter or how to prepare a coffee quickly, to read the newspaper. Organizational needs such as need to have a modern curriculum to establish a modern restaurant, or national needs such as warnings for tsunami or a drought relief. Universal needs such as to prevent global warming, etc. What is an engineering design? An engineering design is a systematic and intelligent process in which engineers generate, evaluate, and specify solutions for devices, systems, or process which should meet the client's objectives as well as satisfy a set of constraints. So, engineering design is a process by which we have to create certain kinds of designs which will help to meet the client's needs and also satisfy a set of constraints. So there are certain aspects that any engineering design has to follow. That is, it should have an objective, there should be a set of functions and means of achieving these functions, a set of constraints that the design has to follow, and the form of the design. Design objectives. Objective means certain features or behavior that we would wish the design to have or exhibit. These are objectives or requirements of a design. It can be such as identifying the needs of the user or to create a working principle, or another objective can be like you need to reduce the cost, reduce the complexity, make it eco-friendly, etc. In the case of a portable ladder, our objective would be that it should be portable, it should be compatible, the ladder should be stable on smooth surfaces, it should reduce the space requirements, etc. Next is, what are the constraints of any design? There are certain constraints that any design has to follow. This can be functional constraints, safety constraints, in case of quality, manufacturing, time, economical, legal and ethical constraints. Next, functions of a design. Any design has certain functions. Functions are the behaviors that we expect the design to have. Or there are certain functions that the design has to perform. It should do or accomplish, such as like it should lift a book, or it should be able to support a shelf, etc. We have research functions, engineering functions, manufacturing functions, commercial functions. Next, means of the design, that is the way in which the design executes a design function. Such as, in case of, if you take the example of a bicycle, the function is that the brake of the bicycle should stop the wheel, right? So, how do you achieve this function, or what is the means of achieving this function, that is stopping the wheel? It is by applying frictional force. Next, in case of speaker, the function is to produce sound, and how it does this is through electromagnetic induction. Next is form, that is how we define the design. It can either be in two-dimensional or in 3D. What is the engineering design process? What is a design process? The design process, or the process by which engineers have to follow in order to come up with a solution to a problem, such as meeting a certain criteria or doing a certain task. If your project involves designing, you should probably follow the engineering design process. Now this is a flow chart that shows the steps of the design process. So the first step, we have to define the problem, that is explain what the problem is, then conduct some background research. Then after conducting the research, we would be able to specify the requirements, and based on the requirements you can brainstorm, think about various possible solutions, and after thinking about various possible solutions, you go on to develop a prototype. And after the prototype is a testing stage where you test whether it's correct or not, or whether it meets the requirements. If it meets the requirements, you can then stop or if it doesn't meet the requirements or it is partially meeting the requirements, then the next step is where you will make changes to the design and again go back to the brainstorm phase where you will evaluate and choose a solution. So the first step is defining the problem. Defining the problem is where you define what is the problem. That is, you try to understand the need. Now this can be done by creating a survey or asking about the people about what the problem is, who has the problem and why is it important. And you create a problem statement where you will describe the problem. Next is when you do background research. This can be done by learning from the experience of others or by yourself to find your past mistakes, or you can find about the existing solutions to similar problems. You can research. This can be based either on your user or the customers. You can even research about the products that already exist and try to solve the problem defined. Or you can even try with those solutions to problems that are very similar to this. The next step is to specify the requirements. That is, you have to specify or understand what all are the design requirements. Next step is to brainstorm the solutions, where you think of all the possible ways. Now you have understood all the requirements, objectives. So the next step is where you try to develop a lot of alternatives or solutions, and so that you can then choose the best possible solution from one of these. Now this can be done by ideation. This process is called ideation, where you can do this by examining existing solutions, creating analogies, brainstorming sessions, sketching and doodling. And then finally you will choose the best solution by looking at each possible solution, and you will decide the one that meets most of the requirements. So in order to choose the best possible solution, these are some criteria that all of them follow universally, like elegance, robustness, aesthetics, cost, resources, time, skill required and safety. So for this you can compare our solution with a decision matrix or try to choose listing the pros and cons of each solution. Next, final step is where you develop the solution. This is by improving the solution, where you try to make it work. This can either be done by drawing, modeling, prototyping or analysis. Then you build a prototype. Prototypes are actually the first working models, like similar to our design of final products, and so this helps to test the solution. Prototype is an operating version of solution, but however they are made in a much cheaper way than the final version. So using a prototype, you can test how the solution will work. Creating prototypes with readily available materials will help you to make it much quicker and with a little cost. Next is testing and redesign phase. This is a test phase. You will test a solution to check whether it's perfect or whether any problems, whether you need to make any changes before deciding on a final design. And if there are any problems or based on any suggestions or feedback for the solution, you can maybe redesign it and make it better. And after redesigning, you can again test, again find issues, and this process continues. So our design process is an iterative process. And finally, you communicate the results. This can be in the base of a final report or as a display board. So this is an example of a stapler. So the stapler here, the problem was that the user wanted to know how many stapler pins are left. So with our current design, it's not possible. So let's see what design modification can be done in order to achieve this. So this is our question. So here, one is you can make use of some transparent material, right? Here, you can use some transparent material over here, in this part, such as maybe plastic, so that it would be visible through this glass, right? That is one method. Or then another method, by using electronics, you can initiate a counter or something. Okay. The next question is to design a wristwatch. And next, a safe ladder. So in a safe ladder, the problem statement, first step is to create a problem statement. So problem statement is to design a new ladder for electricians. And then you can set of attribute, objectives, constraints, functions, means, everything can be listed. So these are some objectives. You can pause the video and read this. Now this is another question, to design a bottle for a new children's juice product. So since this bottle is to be made by children, first step is you will write a problem statement, right? Next, what are the objectives of this? So one objective would be that since it's made for children, it should be colorful, it should be aesthetically pleasing. Another thing, it shouldn't have any sharp edges. For this you can make it round edges can be used. And then another one is it should be spill proof, right? It shouldn't spill easily. Next, it should have a good lock. Next one, it should be made of plastic, good plastic or good child-friendly materials. Then you can mention the different constraints, such as the material should be child-friendly, or then it shouldn't spill fast, it should be biodegradable, etc. Then you can draw a few different designs, and then you can specify the specification, what is important to each design. And finally, you can choose the best possible design from this, mention the reason for choosing that specific product, and finally you can create a report or a conclusion stating what all are the features of the product, etc. So like this you can answer this question. Thank you.